What I want to hear from all the speakers tonight is what they're going to do about fostering a sense of community where nobody feels left out or put aside. Because in my generation, I come from the best generation that there ever was of human beings, and the most communal generation. And back in San Francisco and Northern California, when we were at Dead concerts or seeing the Jefferson Airplane, everybody like took care of each other, and there was always a place to crash. And you know, if people were hungry, there was always people shared snacks with each other. And I want to know if you're going to do something, since people don't care anymore like we used to care, if any of the speakers are going to do something about maybe teaching younger generation to be as good as we were and to be as nice as we were, and to help recreate a sense of love and togetherness and community with sharing snacks. And if they're going to make the snacks, even more importantly, if it's going to be green, the snacks, like they should be, and organically fair trade done potatoes and Hamantaschen and free range potatoes would be even better, and to share with each other. Power to the people. Nobody, no generation was ever like my generation or as cool as my generation, and no generation was ever as sensitive as my generation that grew up in the post-war era and went into the 70s and the 80s. And we suffered a wound which people who were older than us, who were over 30 in 1968, and the people who are younger than us, especially these kids, don't understand this wound that we feel when it happened, that the original Jefferson Airplane split up, and people think that the Jefferson Starship is the same thing as the Jefferson Airplane, but it's totally different. And my generation suffered a deep wound and hurt and pain when the original Jefferson Airplane split up. I want to know how the speakers are going to do something about healing the wound of my generation, because it was the most sensitive generation, and we hurt, and you're hurting us by not addressing and healing this wound. And how are snacks like potatoes and latkes and Hamantaschen going to heal our wound in the future before we get too old? Nice try, man, but dig. You weren't down low with me about your answers to my other points that I was making, and I got an even other thing to say and another point to say, which is that no generation served our country and all humanity like my generation, because when I was growing up and things were tough in the 60s and early 70s, we really served this country. We had to hitchhike around the country whenever we wanted to go to different concerts, and we had to beg people and scrounge, like if we needed like gas for the pickup truck, or when we needed extra munchies, or when we needed to get some wine, we had to ask people for money, and it was never given to us. And when we needed a place to crash and there were no cool people around, and sometimes there weren't enough bathrooms, and people now don't understand that because they don't have the idea of how important this sort of service was whenever we were taking road trips, that nobody was helping us out with getting us gas, or fixing our clothing when something got torn, or buying us new underwear or shoes. And if you're going to talk about latkes and Hamantaschen, I want to know, how you're going to really help people like me in the way that we helped each other by sharing food and a place to crash and underwear.